My name's David Thomas. I'm a freelance mobile app developer, and I've written an app intended to save the lives of hikers, mountain bikers, and others who go off into remote areas with no cell coverage. So how is it that a mobile app is going to help you in an emergency if there's no cell coverage? I have two different ways my app can help you if there's no cell coverage. So first we'll talk about what the app does when there is cell coverage, just as a starting point. So the first thing you do is you would choose a contact person back home who is going to periodically receive text messages. And then periodically throughout your hike or mountain bike ride, or I'm in a dual sport motorcycling, that's what I love to do outside, you press this check-in button. And when you do so, your contact person back home receives a text with a Google Maps link in it, and they can see where you are. And the idea, of course, is that you don't show up when you're expected. Whoops. They have a lot better idea where to come find you. So what if there's no cell coverage? You press the check-in button anyway. And what most of you probably already know is that there's little pockets of crumbs of cell coverage, in many cases not even usable or barely usable, in many remote areas. You pass through one of these pockets of cell coverage and text goes through. So you can be 95% in no cell coverage and they still get the breadcrumbs, and you can, and they'll have an idea where to come look for you if something bad happens. So that is the first way the app can save your lives. Here's the second way that the app can save your life. So you're hiking, whatever you're doing, you pass through one of these little spots and the text goes through. Chances are pretty good that someone else with the same cell carrier can also send a text at that location. So we start learning where these spots are, and we gather them up in a database, and we can put them in a map. And this is actual data gathered by my app. As it turns out, in the mountains just west of here, that's where I did most of my testing. These little red circles are places where I pushed the button and the text didn't go through, it failed. The green icons are good cell coverage. You can probably almost certainly get a text through there. The little yellow dice icons are, it works if you're lucky. So that's my iconography there. So you can see that if you're in a remote area and there's no cell coverage and something bad happens, it would be really useful to know that, oh, if you're here and if you just went to there, you can send a text message and get help. Second way the app can save your life. So another interesting adjunct to this project, given that this is a mapping conference, is that this app is generating a new kind of mapping data, something new to put on a map that hasn't really existed before, at least not exactly in this form. And there's a number of alternate applications for this data. For example, we'll be able to see patterns of trail usage. Like when I go off on my motorcycle, I've had many experiences where I see a dirt road on the map, and I go down that dirt road a little ways, and then there's a locked gate. It just kind of takes all the fun out of it. So one of the things that this app would do is, so you would see a trail or a road, and you see all kinds of icons, and then very little or nothing. And so that gives you a pretty good clue that people are only able to go so far down a particular road or trail. We'd also be able to gather statistics about like how many different people are using it, at what times of day, you know, what types of phones they have, I mean, what their cell carriers are, that type of thing. Another one of my favorite applications is text to 911. So how helpful do you think it would be if you're in a remote area with no cell coverage and you push the emergency button on your phone? And up pops a map and it tells you, oh, if I just went over there, I could send a text and get help for my emergency. So yet another use for this data. So with that, you can see I have something kind of interesting and unique here that has a lot of applications. And I guess in terms of the state of it, I have a pretty good prototype on Android only at this time, and if any of you want to try it that have Android, I certainly want to hook you up with it. The check-in function right now is pretty bulletproof. I've just gone to ridiculous lengths to test that. The mapping function is under construction and currently relies on using another app that can import a KML file. So that's kind of the state of it right now. This has been basically me in my cave writing lots of code for about the last 4 years, and then kind of waking up and going, okay, there's like this whole mapping community around, and that's interesting. And so there we are. That's what I have.